All right, let's talk about something that, I get it, can sound pretty intimidating for a parent. Exposure therapy. I mean, the whole idea of making your child face something that scares them, it can feel like it goes against every single one of our protective instincts. But what if it's actually one of the most powerful, science-backed ways to help them conquer their anxiety for good? Okay, let's get into it.
This right here, this is the big question, isn't it? It's the number one worry for parents, and honestly, it makes total sense. We all picture a child being sort of forced into a scary situation, and that just feels wrong. But here's the thing. Modern ethical exposure therapy looks nothing like that. And to really understand why, we have to look at the new science of how our brains actually beat fear.
You know, the way we understand how fear goes away has completely changed. It's not about just gritting your teeth and toughing it out until you're numb. Nope. It's actually a much smarter, more sophisticated process of new learning inside the brain. Okay, so this is where it gets really cool. The old idea was something called habituation. The thinking was, if you just stay in a scary situation long enough, your fear will kind of fade on its own, like how you stop noticing a ticking clock. But the new science is all about something different, something called inhibitory learning. And this is the absolute core of it. Inhibitory learning doesn't delete the old scary memory. You don't just forget you were once terrified of dogs. Instead, your brain learns a brand new, powerful lesson that says, hey, I was just near a dog and everything was okay. This new safety memory doesn't replace the old one. It actually goes head-to-head with it and starts winning.
I love this way of thinking about it. It's like you're paving a new road in the brain. Every single time a child successfully faces a fear, they're making that new safe pathway wider, smoother, and stronger. The whole point of the therapy is to make this new road so well-traveled that it becomes the brain's go-to default route, even if that old, bumpy, scary path is still technically there.
So if that's the goal, how do therapists actually help kids build this new pathway without, causing a meltdown? Well, the secret is a totally collaborative, gentle, and super structured approach that really puts the child in the driver's seat.
And it is so important to understand the difference here. On one side, you have flooding. That's the scary image we all have, basically throwing someone in the deep end and hoping they learn to swim. But on the other side, you have graduated exposure. And that's like slowly, carefully walking down the steps into the pool, one tiny step at a time, always feeling in control.
And here is the single most important reassurance for any parent listening. That aggressive flooding idea, it's just not done with kids. The entire field today is built around making this process feel manageable and empowering, never overwhelming.
So what's the main tool they use to make it so manageable? It's something called the fear ladder. This is a list that the therapist and the child actually build together. They take a big, scary fear and break it down into tiny, achievable little steps. And then they rank them from, that's a little scary, all the way up to the final boss level.
Just look at this example for a fear of flying. See how it starts with something as simple as watching a video of a plane taking off? The child never ever moves to the next rung on that ladder until they feel ready and confident. It's all about stacking up those small wins and building a real sense of, hey, I can do this.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. This therapy is not something that is done to a child. It is a partnership. The child is an active participant who agrees to the plan and always feels in control. That sense of control, of agency, is exactly what prevents trauma and builds real, lasting courage.
Therapists are also masters at turning this whole thing into a game. Facing a fear isn't just exposure, it's a brave mission. Successes are celebrated with sticker charts and rewards. For little kids, it might just look like they're playing. And all the while, parents are getting coached on how to be the best brave coach they can be at home.
Okay, so we know how it's done safely and collaboratively. But the big question remains, does it actually work? Well, the science says yes. And not only that, it works surprisingly fast.
So, get this. Let's look at one of the most studied models. It's called one-session treatment, or OST. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. After a planning session, the main part of the therapy happens in one single, focused session.
And that one session, it can last up to 3 hours. Now, that might sound intense, but it gives the child enough time to really work their way up their fear ladder, and crucially, it lets that new inhibitory learning, that new safe pathway, really get paved and solidified in their brain.
And here's the kicker. A huge study from 2023 found that this single, powerful session is just as effective as weeks or even months of more traditional therapy for things like phobias in kids and teens. Think about what that means. It's a total game changer for getting effective help to more families and way more quickly.
So let's bring it all back to where we started. That fear of causing trauma, it's real and it's valid, but it's almost always based on a misunderstanding of what the therapy is actually trying to achieve.
And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The ultimate goal isn't to raise a child who never feels fear. That's impossible. The real goal is to raise a child who can feel scared, or anxious, or uncomfortable, and know deep in their bones that they can handle it. It's about teaching them that they are bigger and more powerful than their anxiety.
So I'll just leave you with this thought to chew on. We spend so much of our time trying to protect our kids from anything that feels bad. But what if? What if guiding them through their fears in a way that's safe and controlled and makes them feel powerful? What if that isn't just treating a phobia? What if that's actually giving them one of the most essential skills for life, the deep, unshakable knowledge of their own courage?